The stars were quiet. In a forgotten corner of the galaxy, the Eliari people were dying, their cities burned, their skies turned red with fire. Giant tribunal ships floated above their world like monsters from a nightmare. They called for help. For years, no one answered, but then, something changed. A signal was sent, one last cry into the void. The tribunal had made it illegal to contact unknown species, but the Eliari had nothing left to lose. They broke the law, hacked an ancient system, and sent a wide-range pulse message. That signal traveled across the stars, and reached one place no one expected. Earth. Earth had been silent for centuries. The tribunal believed it was a forgotten planet, wild, primitive, not worth their time. That was their biggest mistake. Deep inside Earth's Space Defense Center, alarms blared. Lieutenant Rhea Carter leaned forward. "What is that?" A tech replied. "It's a signal, alien, old dialect, but it's calling for help." The message was shaky, static, but the image was clear. A burning world, a child crying, shadows of tribunal soldiers dragging people away, then a voice, "To any who can hear, we are Eliari, we are dying, please help us." And then, silence. In orbit, the Earth fleet was small but deadly, hidden, advanced. While the tribunal ignored Earth, humans had built something powerful quietly, carefully. Now they had a choice. The Earth Defense Council met in a secure bunker under Geneva. "Could be a trap," said one admiral. "Tribunal bite, but what if it's real?" asked another. "We always said we'd be ready. Now someone's calling." Commander Elias Thorne sat quietly in the back. He was an old soldier, gray hair, battle-scarred face. He had fought the last Earth War. No one wanted to remember. He stood up. "If no one else will help, I will." The room went silent. The council didn't vote. They just looked at each other and nodded. Earth was going to war. The Horizon's Edge was Earth's most advanced stealth battleship. Quiet as a shadow, deadly as fire. It launched from orbit without alerting the tribunal sensors. Its mission: go to Eliari space, confirm the signal, and respond if needed. Commander Thorne stood at the bridge window, watching the stars stretch into streaks as they jumped into slip space. "Bring us in low," he ordered. "I want eyes on the ground." 3 days later, they reached the edge of Eliari space. What they saw chilled them. A graveyard of ships, dozens of destroyed Eliari vessels floated in space, broken and drifting. Then the planet came into view. Ash, covered, burning, dead, double quotes, scan for life. Thorne said. His officer nodded. "We have survivors, deep underground, maybe a few hundred." Thorne clenched his jaw. "Tribunal, a palsy. To cruisers in orbit. They haven't seen us yet." Thorne gave the order. "Stealth drop. Get our rescue team down there. I'm going with them." The drop pod fired silently, landing in a shattered city. Eliar ruins stretched for miles. Broken towers, crushed vehicles. The sky was orange with smoke. The team moved quickly, following life signals. Suddenly, a figure ran toward them, small, weak, limping. It was a young Eliari girl, maybe 10 years old, in human years. Her skin was pale silver. Her eyes glowed softly in the dark. She collapsed in Thorne's arms. "Did you hear us?" she whispered. He nodded. "We heard you." Behind her, more survivors came out, tired, scared, hungry. The rescue team gave them food, medicine, water. But then danger. Above, tribunal dropships entered the atmosphere. They had detected the humans. Back on the Horizon's Edge, alarms blared. "Tribunal, forces incoming for fighters. To dropships. Engage, cloak." Thorne's voice crackled through comms. "No uncloak. Lock weapons. We send a message." Tribunal ships flew down, expecting an easy capture. They saw the human ship decloak, didn't even have time to speak. The Horizon's Edge opened fire. Laser beams ripped through the sky. Enemy ships exploded before they could even react. It was fast, brutal. One-sided. Tribunal command was shocked. Their scouts didn't return. Their feed was lost. An unknown vessel had destroyed their patrols. One high officer whispered, "Where did this ship come from?" Another replied with a single word, "Earth." Commander Thorne stood beside the Eliari survivors as they watched the Horizon's Edge land softly near them. They had tears in their eyes. One old Eliari placed a hand on Thorne's shoulder. "You came," he said. "No one else ever did, but you came." Thorne nodded. "We won't leave you behind." As the last survivors boarded the ship, Thorne gave the order, "Set course for Earth, full stealth." But as they left the system, the message had already spread. The tribunal knew, and worse, the rest of the galaxy knew. Earth had returned, and it had answered with fire. Space around Earth was no longer quiet. The return of the Horizon's Edge had changed everything. It had left Earth alone. Now, it brought survivors, refugees, and a message burned into every corner of the galaxy. Earth had responded. The tribunal didn't wait. Within hours of the ship's arrival, enemy probes were spotted entering the Sol system. Hidden satellites near the edge of the Kuiper Belt blinked red. Earth's defense grid came online for the first time in over 50 years. Dotted the skies above Earth, ships moved into position. Dreadnoughts, carriers, orbital railguns all powered up. Civilians were told nothing, but the soldiers knew. War was no longer a possibility. It was here. Commander Thorne stood on the surface of Mars, inside Earth's forward command station. Behind him stood the rescued Eliari. They were weak, still recovering, but their presence sent a signal louder than words. The tribunal had tried to destroy a race, and Earth had stopped it. The Eliari girl who had first found Thorne spoke softly to him. "They won't forgive you," Thorne replied. "Good. I'm not asking for forgiveness." Earth's council called an emergency meeting. Generals, commanders, scientists, and political leaders filled the room. Above them, holograms showed tribunal ships gathering near Eliari space, war fleets, death machines. But more worrying was something else. The tribunal was silent. No message, no warning. Not their usual way. "They're planning something," said Thorne. "They're waiting for us to speak first. Or to strike." One admiral asked, "Do we respond? Do we fight?" Thorne turned. "We already did. We saved lives. We fired first. Now, we finish what we started." No one disagreed. The fleet moved out. Earth's first response fleet, codenamed Iron Line, was sent toward the edge of tribunal territory. It was led by the Iron Will, a heavy battleship equipped with eye-controlled targeting systems and stealth drive. Commander Thorne was aboard. They didn't travel alone. 3 ships from the Eliari resistance flew with them. The Eliari didn't have much left, but what they gave was everything they had. Engineers, pilots, a few scavenged weapons. But most of all, they gave something Earth had not seen in a long time: trust from another world. As the fleet approached the edge of the Caverse Cloud, Earth ships detected something strange. A signal was bouncing between asteroids, low frequency, encrypted, tribunal code. It wasn't just communication, it was a beacon, a trap. The Iron Will slowed. Thorne ordered full scan mode. Moments later, the trap was sprung. 5 tribunal destroyers, cloaked behind a nearby moon. Their engines lit up with plasma fire. Weapons already locked. They didn't send a message. They just opened fire. Earth's fleet dodged. Shields lit up. The Iron Will fired a blast from its main cannon. One shot. One kill. A tribunal destroyer exploded in silence. The other ships turned sharply, but they were too slow. The Earth fleet was smaller but faster, better coordinated, and smarter. Within 6 minutes, 3 more enemy ships were destroyed. The final tribunal vessel tried to escape into slipspace. It never made it. The Eliari ship Stormlight took it down with a focused ion lance. Commander Thorne stood on the bridge, watching the wreckage float. "We just made history," his first officer said. Thorne nodded. "Yeah, but the tribunal doesn't forget." Back on Earth, the news leaked. Someone, maybe from the Eliar, maybe not, posted footage of the rescue, of the dead cities, of the tribunal's war machines. It spread faster than anyone could stop it. In less than 12 hours, trillions of beings across the galaxy had seen it, and for the first time in thousands of years, they saw something strange. Hope, but not everyone felt hope. The tribunal met in the Hall of Authority, a cold silver fortress on the planet Juraxis. The 10 rulers of the known galaxy sat in silence. A giant screen played the footage of the Iron Will tearing through their destroyers. One of them finally spoke. "This species, they should not be capable of such firepower." Another replied, "They were supposed to be isolated, primitive, monitored." "They have war," AI said a third. "They have stealth. They have tech that even we cannot track." Silence again. Then the Supreme Director gave a single order: "Send the voice." Far away, in a dark facility, a tribunal agent opened his eyes. He was tall, gray-skinned, and wore no armor. His weapon was words, and poisoned. The tribunal called him the voice of silence. He was sent to Earth disguised. Hidden. He arrived on a small diplomatic vessel, claiming to be a messenger of peace. Earth allowed his ship to land under heavy guard. Council gathered. Thorne was there, so was the Eliari girl. The voice spoke calmly, coldly. "You broke the law of silence. You interfered in tribunal affairs. You destroyed government property. Return the refugees and stand down, or face destruction." Commander Thorne stepped forward. He held up a small device. It clicked. The entire room could now hear him, so could the rest of the galaxy. "Your law is broken," he said. "You murder the weak, burn their homes, silence their cries." He stepped closer. "Earth doesn't follow your laws. We answer to something older." "What is that?" asked the voice. "Conscience." And then Thorne pressed a second button. The recording of the Eliari signal played. The screams, the fire, the tribunal ships, killing civilians. The message was sent live to hundreds of systems. The voice of silence froze. For the first time he had no words. Then he reached for a hidden weapon, but Thorne was faster. One shot from a magnetic pistol dropped the tribunal agent before he could move. Earth's soldiers surrounded the body. They found something worse than a weapon, a neural bomb, a mind-hacking device. He hadn't come to talk. He'd come to erase leaders. Earth's council was shaken but not afraid. "We go public," said one senator. "All of it. They wanted to keep us in the shadows. We step into the light." That night, Earth's president stood before a camera. The message was clear. "To all species who live under fear, we are coming. You called for help. We respond with fire and fury. You are not alone." The broadcast lit up the stars. Some laughed, some panicked, but they listened. And in secret places, across broken worlds, people began to whisper one name. Again. Earth. Not as a myth. But as a force. And the tribunal finally began to worry. The tribunal was no longer silent. They moved quickly now. 6 war fleets left their spaceports across 3 sectors. Not to talk, not to threaten, to destroy. Earth had done the unthinkable. It had exposed the tribunal's crimes, broken their ancient laws and killed their elite messenger live on galactic broadcast. Worse, it had made the tribunal look weak, and weakness could not be allowed. At Earth's Defense Command Center on the moon, alarms lit up. Sensor stations hidden in deep space began detecting mass movement across star lanes. Tribunal ships were coming. Commander Thorne stood beside Earth's Grand Admiral. Both men watched as the data scrolled across the screen. The enemy force was massive, over 200 ships. "Where are they heading?" the Admiral asked. Thorne replied, "They're splitting. 2 fleets heading for Eliari space, 4 heading toward Earth." The room fell quiet. One general muttered, "They're going for extermination." Thorne's voice was calm, but hard. "Then we stop them here." The Grand Admiral gave the order. "Activate Operation Sky." Within hours, Earth's fleets began to move. Skyhammer was Earth's secret war plan. Every ship in the fleet knew the protocols. Every base was already mapped. Hundreds of Earth vessels launched from bunkers, shipyards, and hidden asteroid bases. The true strength of Earth had been kept hidden for a reason. Now it would be revealed. On the outer rim of Earth's space, a tribunal scout ship arrived first. It didn't even have time to report. An Earth stealth minefield tore it apart before its sensors fully deployed. The tribunal responded by sending 3 destroyers ahead of their fleet. They flew in fast, scanning for ambushes. Earth's fleet was waiting. In the black silence of space, 5 human cruisers uncloaked and opened fire with ray. The destroyers didn't stand a chance. The first died in 2 seconds. The second tried to run, but an EMP torpedo stopped it dead. The third turned to fight. It managed to fire once. Then a coordinated burst from a human gunship melted its reactor core. The remains of the tribunal ships drifted in space. No signals, no survivors. But the tribunal didn't stop. They kept coming. They thought Earth had used all its strength. They were wrong. In a hidden facility orbiting Saturn, Earth's AI fleet command came online, known as Oracle. It was the most powerful battlefield mind humans had ever built. Not just a machine, but a strategy engine that could fight entire wars faster than any living commander. Oracle woke up. And it was angry. With full control of Earth's orbital satellites, long-range weapons, and space-based armor units, Oracle began directing a counterstrike. The Iron Will, with Thorne on board, moved to intercept the second wave near Titan's orbit. On board, Thorne met with a group of Eliari fighters who had volunteered to join Earth's fleet. They wore salvaged armor and carried modified human weapons. One of them, an Eliari pilot named Talan, stepped forward. "I want to fight," he said. "Not to survive, to win." Thorne looked him in the eye. "Then fly with me." They launched together. The tribunal ships arrived in perfect formation. They were massive, clean, silver hulls, sharp angles, smooth surfaces, designed to show dominance. But Earth's ships weren't made to show off. They were built to kill. As the tribunal entered Titan's gravity field, Earth's traps activated. Magnetic pulse cannons fired from the moon's surface, turrets hidden, In craters launched volleys of piercing missiles. 2 tribunal frigates were hit before they even saw the enemy. The Iron Will came in from behind, silent and fast. Its railguns punched holes straight through the nearest cruiser. Human fighters danced between enemy flak fire like shadows. Talon's fighter took a direct hit but kept flying. He aimed for the enemy command ship and released a nova-burst. The explosion tore the side off the Tribunal's main bridge. In just 12 minutes, the battle was over. 16 Tribunal ships lost. Earth lost 1. Inside the Tribunal's remaining fleet, panic spread. This wasn't just resistance. This was what, and Earth was winning. Back on the Tribunal capital, arguments broke out among the High Council. The Supreme Director shouted in fury. They were supposed to be contained. One official replied, "You made them legends." Another whispered, "Maybe it's time we listen." He was removed from the room. Meanwhile, Thorn and the fleet returned to Mars orbit for rearmament. The Eliari civilians on board began helping repairing ships, cooking food, offering whatever they could. They were no longer just passengers. They were survivors, becoming soldiers. The Eliari girl, now stronger, sat on the bridge beside Thorn. She watched as humans and Eliari worked side by side. "Your people. They never gave up," she said. Thorn smiled faintly. "We learned to fight with our backs against the wall." Then came the message. Earth Command picked up a strange signal, a cry for help from a different sector. Not Eli, not human. Another race. Another victim. It was coming from the Varnax system, far outside Earth's control. Thorn stared at the screen. The message was simple. "They're here. We're falling. If anyone hears this, help us." The room went quiet. Thorn stood up. "We're going," he said. A voice behind him asked, "What if it's a trap?" He didn't hesitate. "Then we'll spring it." And with that, Earth's fleet turned toward a new war zone, not for conquest, but for the only reason that mattered anymore, because someone cried for help, and Earth answered again. The Varnax system was dying. Black smoke floated in orbit. Strange debris drifted between shattered moons. Fires burned on the surface of the only habitable planet. Earth's fleet entered the system cautiously, every weapon charged, every sensor. Scanning the message had been real, but they were too late. No signals were coming from the planet now. No life signs on open channels, just ruins. Silenced. Commander Thorn stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, eyes fixed on the screen. "Any survivors?" he asked. The AI Oracle answered through the ship's speaker. "Minimal signs. Faint bias detected underground. Possible shelters. Interferences blocking deep scans." Thorn nodded. "Then we land." Several human dropships launched from orbit, flying low over the scorched landscape. Ash filled the air. The planet's main city was in ruins, collapsed towers, melted roads, scorched craters where houses once stood. Thorn led the first team down. Armed and armored. With him were 2 Eliari fighters, the pilot Tylan and the girl who had first found him on her own broken world. She carried a rifle now. She didn't speak much, but her eyes burned with fire. The ground team moved through smoke and rubble. No enemy. Just destruction. Then they found it. A hatch buried under debris, burned, half sealed but still blinking with power. A shelter. The team worked quickly to pry it open. Inside, they found 23 survivors. Alien civilians, injured, hungry, some were children. A thin, tall being stepped forward, body shaking. "You heard our call," he said. "We thought no one would." Thorn gave him water. "You're not alone." But just as they began helping the wounded out, one of the Eliari called out, "Movement, Westridge." Everyone dropped into cover. The enemy was still here. Tribunal. Machines, 6-legged walkers with glowing red sensors, appeared over the ridge. They weren't here to capture. These were exterminators. They opened fire. Thorn's squad responded instantly. Bullets and energy blasts lit up the ruins. The walkers moved fast, but Earth's weapons hit harder. 2 machines exploded. One tried to flank but ran into a mine left by the Eliari still. More were coming. Thorn shouted, "Fall back to the dropship. Get the civilians out." One walker hit the side of the dropship, damaging its right engine. Flames burst from the hull. Thorn jumped forward and fired 3 shots into the walker's head. It stumbled but didn't fall. The Eliari girl ran up beside him, aimed carefully, and fired a high-powered round directly into the machine's glowing eye. It collapsed. They pulled back, carrying survivors, fighting the machines one step at a time. The sky above shook. Enemy air units were arriving, but then so did help. 3 Earth gunships flew in low, cannons spinning. They rained down fire on the enemy, clearing a path to the ship. The last of the survivors were loaded in. Thorn jumped in after them. The dropship's engines roared, shaking, smoking, but they lifted off above the planet. Earth's fleet waited. Enemy ships were now approaching from the far edge of the system. Tribunal warships. At least 30 of them. Too many, said one officer. We can't win this fight here. Thorn made his decision fast. All ships jumped to fallback position. We're not here to die, we're here to fight another day. The fleet turned. Earth's ships disappeared into slipspace, vanishing in bursts of light just as the Tribunal's armada reached orbit. The planet was lost, but not the survivors. Back in deep space, the fleet regrouped. In a temporary base built inside an asteroid, the rescued aliens called the Varnarasat in stunned silence. Their city, their history, gone, but not everyone was broken. The leader, a woman named Solari, looked around at the human fleet. The soldiers, the Eliari allies. You came, she said. Why? Thorn replied. Because we were like you once. Broken, beaten, alone. Solari stood taller. Then we won't be alone again. She gave Earth her full support. And she wasn't the only one. Other species had been watching Earth's actions closely. Broadcasts of the rescue, the fights, and Earth's message of hope had been spreading across the stars. In quiet corners of the galaxy, people began rising, a resistance began to form. Small fleets from minor worlds began contacting Earth, offering information, weapons, even soldiers. They didn't want power, they wanted freedom, and they believed Earth could help them win it. But, while Earth built alliances, the Tribunal was preparing something else, a new weapon. On the dark world of Cornine, hidden deep in the Tribunal's territory, engineers worked around the clock. Massive machines were being assembled, taller than buildings, faster than fighters, controlled not by pilots but by artificial minds created for one purpose: to exterminate. The Tribunal called them silencers, machines without mercy, without fear, without limits, and they were almost ready. Back in Earth space, Oracle picked up strange movements in deep space. Tribunal's ships were gathering again, but something was different. They weren't heading for Eliari. Space. Not Earth, not Varnax. They were heading toward Calyx Station, a neutral trade hub. It wasn't a military target, it was symbolic. Thousands of species traded there. If the Tribunal attacked Calyx, it would send one message to the galaxy: no one is safe, not even if you stay neutral. Earth had to stop it, even if it meant revealing more of its secret power. At a war meeting aboard the Iron Will, Earth's fleet leaders and their new allies gathered. Thorn stood at the center. They're trying to silence the whole galaxy, one system at a time. We don't let that happen. Talon, the Eliari pilot, said. If we go, we may not come back. Thorn looked around the room. That's the price of fire, that's the fury we promised. No one objected. The plan was made. They would go to Calyx, they would not wait. They would bring war to the Tribunal's doorstep, because the galaxy had cried for help, and Earth wasn't finished answering. Calyx Station floated in open space like a jewel. It was neutral ground, no weapons allowed, no warships within 10,000 kilometers. Over 100 alien species came here to trade, meet, and survive. But now, danger was coming. Oracle detected it first: 22 Tribunal ships. No warning, no declaration, they were flying directly toward Calyx. Inside Calyx Station, civilians rushed through the halls. Messages screamed across. Comes the station's commander. A four-armed being named Resin tried calling the Tribunal ships. No response. He called again, still nothing. He knew what this meant. The Tribunal wasn't coming to talk, they were coming to destroy. But Earth had already moved. 3 human stealth ships had hidden near Calyx hours before. At the first sign of movement, they sent the signal. The Iron Will and Earth's second fleet entered slipspace. They were going to break the rules, they were going to fight where no weapons were allowed, because sometimes peace needs to be defended with war. The Tribunal arrived first. Their ships were huge, black, sharp, silent. They surrounded Calyx slowly, like wolves circling prey. Everyone in the station watched in fear. Then, just as the first Tribunal weapons lit up, space behind them tore open. Earth's fleet emerged. The Iron Will led the charge. Human fighters swarmed out, flying directly into enemy fire. Lasers lit up the void. Explosions rippled across the stars. The Tribunal didn't expect Earth to fight here, but Earth didn't care about expectations, it cared about lives. Inside Calyx, people cheered as human ships took the lead. Civilians from many races watched, in shock, as Earth's small fleet pushed back a force twice its size. Then the Tribunal launched their silencers, 2 of them, massive machines, dark and angular, moving like nightmares across the battlefield. One of them locked onto the iron will. Thorn stood on the bridge. Focus fire on the silencer, he ordered. Cannons fired. Missiles followed. But the silencer didn't fall. It adapted. Its skin changed color. Its shields absorbed energy. It fired back, and a human destroyer exploded instantly. The iron will took a glancing hit. Sparks flew inside. People were thrown from their chairs. "We can't kill it with normal weapons," shouted an officer. Thorn made his decision. "I'm taking a team. We're boarding it." "You'll be killed," the officer said. Thorn didn't hesitate. Better than letting that thing reach Calix. He suited up. Talan, the LERA pilot, joined him. So did the girl now, a soldier, quiet but unafraid. They launched in a small boarding craft, racing between debris and laser fire straight toward the silencer. The machine noticed them, that it tried to shoot. Too late, they hit its hull and drilled. Inside, it was dark and cold. Everything pulsed with alien energy. The corridors were alive, like veins. They moved fast. Thorn placed charges along the core path. Talon hacked the internal power grid, slowing the machine's movements. The girl covered them from behind. Then, deep inside the silencer, they reached its core. It was a glowing sphere of light and metal, surrounded by rotating blades and humming pulses. "This is it," said Thorn. They planted the final charge. As they turned to leave, alarms screamed. A defense drone appeared. It fired. Talon pushed Thorn aside and took the hit. He fell hard. Thorn shot the drone down, then grabbed Talon. "We're not leaving anyone behind." Talon coughed. "You always say that." They dragged him back to the craft. The girl flew them out just seconds before the charges exploded. The silencer tore apart in a burst of white fire. The second silencer turned to late and was hit by Earth's focused barrage of nuclear-tipped torpedoes. It died with a roar. The Tribunal fleet, now stunned, began retreating. Earth didn't chase. They didn't need to. They'd already won. Back on Calix station, cheers erupted. Thousands of aliens ran to the observation decks to see the human fleet holding formation. Quiet, steady, unbroken. Rezon, the station commander, sent a message to Thorn. "You have broken every law here," he said, "and saved every life." Earth became more than just a name that day. It became a symbol. The Vanari Elec civilians all saw it now. Earth was not the strongest power, but it was the fiercest defender, and something else changed. Other planets, quiet ones, began sending messages to Earth, one by one. "We are with you. We want to fight. Teach us how to resist." A movement was beginning. The Tribunal saw it. And in their deepest chamber they made their final decision. No more warnings, no more fleets. Earth has brought fire. We will answer with extinction. They prepared a final strike. Not a war, a purge, but Earth was already coming for them. Deep inside Tribunal space, a cold silence filled the void. Massive ships moved in formation, black like shadows. No words, no mercy. Only one order now remained: destroy Earth. Forever. They called it Operation ASHFALL. An entire Tribunal armada, over 100 warships strong, began to gather at the edge of a dead star system. With them were more silencers, upgraded, smarter, faster, and something new. The Terminus device. No one outside the Tribunal had ever seen it. A weapon designed not to destroy planets but to erase them from time itself. Earth didn't know it was coming, but Oracle saw something, a change in energy patterns. Silent systems lighting up, empty space filled with movement. It warned Thorn. "They're preparing something massive," Oracle said, "and they're not hiding it anymore." Thorn stood in the war room, surrounded by human commanders, LERA leaders, and new allies from the Calix, the Vanari, and others. "They're coming for us," Thorn said. "Then we meet them halfway," said Solari, the Vanari leader. "No," Thorn replied. "We don't wait, we hit them first." The room went quiet. "You want to attack Tribunal home space?" Talon asked. "Yes," Thorn said. "We hit their weapons factory on Nelth, cut off their supply, force them to pull back. If we don't, they'll reach Earth before we can stop them." Some argued it was too risky, too dangerous, but they knew he was right, so they prepared in secret under asteroid shadows. Inside hollow moons, Earth's allies built a new fleet, not just human ships, but mixed tech, hybrid weapons, stealth systems, shield reinforcements. Some ships even carried prototype plasma cores, unstable but powerful. The mission was simple: strike deep, cripple the Tribunal's heart, and survive. The fleet launched in silence. Over 70 ships, thousands of lives. No backup, no retreat. Bay called it Operation Break Chain. As they neared Naltha 6, they saw it, the factory moon, huge, metallic, covered in glowing panels, protected by shield generators and hundreds of auto-turrets around it, dozens of ships. Thorn gave the order, "We go in fast, hard, no speeches." The first wave was stealth. Small teams in cloaked ships. Their mission: destroy the shield generators. Thorn led one of those teams. Alongside him were the Eliari girl, now known by her name, Siren, and a small Varnari squad. They landed on the moon's surface. The air was thin. The light was red. Machines crawled across the ground, guarding the shield cores. Sarah moved ahead, fast and silent. She planted the charges while Thorn covered her. The Varnari distracted the guards. Explosions lit up the sky. The shields dropped, and the full fleet came down. A rain of fire. Human cruisers smashed through enemy lines. Eliari fighters danced between beams. Varnari pulse bombs tore into holes. The moon shook. Inside the factory, alarms blared, but the tribunal didn't expect a ground invasion. Thorn's team breached the main control room. They found something. Horrifying rows of alien prisoners, some half-machine beings used to control parts of the Terminus device. Mind-linked, tortured, trapped. "This isn't war," Thorn said. "This is murder." They freed who they could. Then they set the place to burn. Sarah planted a plasma bomb at the core. They escaped through a collapsing tunnel, barely making it to their ship. Behind them, the factory exploded. The moon cracked in half. The fleet pulled back. Losses were heavy, but the mission was a success. The Terminus device was gone. For now, back on Earth, the news spread fast. Other systems saw what had happened. Earth had struck at the heart of the tribunal and lived. Some were afraid, but most were inspired. Rebellions began rising faster. Whole planets refused tribunal control. Fleets defected. The tribunal, once untouchable, was bleeding, but the tribunal was not finished. They launched a new command: total war. Every remaining silencer, every last ship. One final invasion. They didn't care about survival now, only destruction. Oracle detected the final armada, and this time, it was heading for Earth. The sky above Earth was calm. Blue. Peaceful, clouds drifting like nothing was wrong. But far above, in orbit, there was only fire and steel. Earth's defenses were ready. Every warship, every cannon, every station and satellite. Waiting. The tribunal was coming. Oracle had tracked them for days. They were not hiding. Their fleet was massive, over 400 ships, 15 silencers, and something new, something enormous, a living weapon. They called it the Maw. It wasn't just a ship. It was a creature, a machine beast born in tribunal labs, bigger than a city, designed to devour planets. And it was heading for Earth. The United Human Alliance had never faced something like this. But they wouldn't. Rendezvous. Single quote. Thorn stood on the bridge of the Iron Will, looking at the tactical screen. "They're 2 hours out," the officer said. "Then we meet them in orbit." Thorn replied. Syrah, the Eliari girl, now wore a human flight suit. She stood beside him, quiet but ready. "Do you think we'll win?" she asked. Thorn didn't smile. "I think we'll fight harder than they expect." Around Earth, fleets formed into lines. Human, Eliari, Varnari, and dozens of smaller races, ships patched together with hope, stolen tech, and stubborn courage. Back on the ground, civilians were moved into deep shelters. Families held hands. Children listened to the rumble above. Then the tribunal arrived. Slipspace tore open. Their fleet poured in like a flood. The battle began instantly. Lasers, missiles, torpedoes, plasma. The space around Earth lit up like a burning storm. The tribunal's ships were brutal, relentless. Earth's fleet held the line, but it wasn't enough. One by one, ships fell. A human carrier was torn apart. An Eliari cruiser exploded. The silencers moved forward, ignoring smaller ships, heading straight for the planet. Then the Maw came. It dropped from slipspace like a god. Black, massive. Its mouth opened wide, pulling in debris, dead ships, anything. Its voice, if it had one, was a scream across space. Even hardened soldiers froze when they saw it. Oracle tried to scan it, failed. "No data," it said. "This thing should not exist." Thorn looked at it and made a choice. "Board it," he said. "You can't," the officer said. "You won't make it out." "Don't plan to," Thorn replied. He gathered a final team. Syrah Talon, badly injured, but still breathing, and a few volunteers. They launched in a small stealth craft, flying straight into the Maw's mouth while the rest of the fleet fought to distract it. Inside, the Maw was like a nightmare. Pulsing walls, blood like tubes. Everything moved, breathed, groaned. "It's alive," Syrah whispered. But they kept going. They found the core. It was part machine, part brain glowing with energy. They planted bombs. Suddenly, the Moor reacted. Its body shifted. Defense drones swarmed. One of the volunteers was pulled into the walls. Screams echoed. Talon shot at everything, covering Thorn. He was hit hard. He fell to the floor. Thorn ran to him, grabbed his arm. I told you, Talon gasped. I'm not dying in a bed. They finished planting the charges. The countdown started. As the walls closed in, Thorn opened the comms. The fleet, this is Commander Thorn. We're inside the Moor. Charges are armed. When it dice hit the silencers with everything, there was no goodbye. Just action. The stealth craft tried to fly out but too late. The Moor exploded from the inside, a flash brighter than any star. The Tribunal fleet saw it and faltered, and Earth's fleet didn't waste a chance. They attacked with everything. Nuclear warheads, fusion beams, kamikaze runs. The sky turned white with fire. Silencers cracked and broke. Tribunal ships began to fall back. Then, Oracle triggered the backup. A hidden fleet kept in deep space appeared behind the Tribunal line. They were surrounded, and Earth pushed forward in minutes. It was over. The Tribunal fled. Not to regroup. To survive. The battle was won. Earth had stood at a cost. The Iron Will was gone. Thorn was listed Mio presumed dead. Talon's body was never recovered. But Sarah lived. She returned to Earth and stood before the world leaders. This was not just a war, she said. It was the start of something bigger. We cannot go back. We must go forward, together. And for the first time in galactic history, the galaxy listened to a voice that wasn't Tribunal. It listened to Earth. And everything was about to change. The war was over. For the first time in living memory, the Tribunal had been defeated, not just stopped. Broken. Their fleets were scattered, their silencers destroyed, their command center abandoned. The few who survived ran to the edges of the galaxy, hiding in fear of what Earth might do next. But Earth did not chase them. Earth rebuilt. The battle for survival was over. Now came the battle for peace. The galaxy looked to Earth not as a conqueror, but as a protector, a symbol of resistance, a fire that refused to die. Don't yet. For many, the victory felt hollow. Commander Thorn was gone. No body, no signal, just silence. His last act saved the planet. But no one knew if he had lived or died inside the Moor. Sarah stood in front of the Earth Assembly, her voice steady but heavy with emotion. Thorn gave everything so others could live. He was a soldier, a leader, a friend. He did not fight to destroy. He fought so others wouldn't have to. Across the stars, worlds lit a blue flame in his memory. Lere cities. Var, Nar, I colonies, even old Kalix station. People who had never met him now whispered his name with respect. But peace was not simple. Many Tribunal-controlled planets were now free but lost. No government, no leadership, no power. Earth couldn't rule them all, but it could help. A new alliance was formed, the Flame Pact, not an empire. A coalition, equal worlds, united by choice, not fear. Sarah became one of its first ambassadors. She traveled system to system, spreading the idea Thorn had believed in, strength with purpose, not power for power's sake. Even Oracle changed. The AI, once cold and logical, began learning emotion. It started speaking less like a machine and more like someone who had seen what loss truly meant. I miss him, Oracle said once, quietly, through the Iron Will's damaged backup system. He challenged me. Then something strange happened. Signal. Very weak. Very old. From deep space. No one else noticed it, but Oracle did. It was a human distress code. Only one person ever used that code. Thorn. It came from beyond the rim, far outside. Known space, too far for normal travel. But not impossible. Sarah saw the signal. She didn't speak, she just looked at the screen. Then at the stars. Later, she stood in front of a shipyard watching a new ship being built. It was large, fast, built for deep exploration. On its hull, one name had been painted in bold white letters. Iron Will II. When asked why she chose the name, she simply said, because the galaxy still needs him, and until we find him, this ship will carry his legacy. The camera feeds across Earth, and the Flame Pact played her words again and again. Across planets, children read about the human who came when no one else would, about one Marine who stood against the darkness. And changed everything. The galaxy had cried for help, and Earth had answered, not with fear, not with silence, but with fire and fury and hope.